This is Relationship Tech is on air. There are so many events out there, and so many of them are so bad. They're probably poorly prepared, including mine. I made, I think, a bunch of very poorly prepared events, and like I'm not the first who made this mistake. It happens to the best of us, and I'm not the first who is researching this topic, how to make the events better and more meaningful for people. And yeah, so we found a book which is dedicated specifically to this topic, and I'm going to discuss it today. My name is Paul. I'm founder of Relationship Tech Community. I'm also tech founder. Previously, I founded the company which connected people one-on-one, online and offline. Then we did the group meetings, and that's where I gained this experience of sometimes not very productive meetings. And yeah, if we want to learn something from this book, we better share the insights and discuss it, and maybe some new ideas will appear today. So I discussed it today with Amelia. Amelia, I want to ask you three things. Please tell about your background, because the perspective you will see at the topic depends on where it comes from. What's your current project? What you're doing right now? And immediate question, like then you jump into the book. When you were reading this, what was the obvious things you thought that was kind of what was with me from the moment I was born? So that was obvious.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Thanks for having me, and thanks for this great idea. I've been meaning to read this book, The Art of Gathering, for a long time, so this was perfect push to do it. But my introduction, I'm Amelia. I have a background in marketing and advertising. I worked for the last few years as Klarna's head of brand. And that's all my life has been about, finding ways to relate to people. So creating advertising campaigns, creating marketing campaigns that find an insight in the world and then connect with people through that, and ultimately sell them something and make people money. And now I'm pivoting that experience into a topic, an area that I care a lot about, which is human connection. And a year ago, I founded a company called Add One. And the whole idea of Add One is that the way that you make more meaningful connections is not about apps where you swipe to meet people. It's not about meeting strangers. It's not about finding a hobby and meeting those people. It's actually about finding friends of friends, someone you have one person in common with, and meeting those people. So that, in my opinion, is a lost art these days. And the company I founded is all about making it easier for people to meet their friends of friends. The third question was, what was obvious about reading the book, and what sort of stood out straight away? I think number one is the level of preparation that goes into organizing a gathering. And I think Priya refers to different scale gatherings, different purpose gatherings, but consistently through it all, it's that it's actually a lot more work than you expect for it to be a good gathering. And that's also why very few people in the world are actually the type of people to organize gatherings and get people together. And most people are what we call the easy side, which is, I just want to book a ticket and I just want to turn up. That was really obvious to me. And the other thing was just making people feel comfortable in an environment, and how far that goes. There are times when she pushes for discomfort or wanting to make people feel uncomfortable or discuss a point a bit more. But overall, every action that's done is made to remind people the intention of why they're gathering and to make them feel warm and comfortable in that environment. So I think they're two of the things that really stood out to me as obvious.
Yeah, I totally agree with this one, and also had it kind of in my list of things. I ticked that's preparation. 90% of your I feel confident about our conversation with me and you now because I played it many times in my head, and now I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a good meeting. It really gives me confidence. And another thing I learned on the go, there was a um, author's point about the host cannot just be relaxed.
Mm.
You kind of want to give this relaxed feeling to people, but if you relax yourself, and there is a pretty good example when the lecturer walks into the room, and then the students start to expect to listen to the lecture, and the lecturer just doesn't do anything, just sits in the corner and keeps silent, and then students start to go crazy. I mean, what's happening? If they start to talk, and then the whole dynamic just ruins. No lecture happens, and then the lecturer provided this as an example that you have to be structured and not you cannot be just relaxed. You need to give the direction. There was a series of events that went super well, and I'm like, people just come there, they have fun. I just come as an organizer and do nothing. There was terrible event, and people felt awkward. So that was that was learned. And then when I read this book, I was like, yeah, this is definitely the thing that I knew before I started to read this book. But there were more things, and I think this is very interesting to discuss with you, which make me feel controversial. I read it, and it sounds like an easy and good rule, but the more and more you're into the topic, you're like, yeah, this is not that easy. For example, one there was about you must strictly stick to the event's purpose. Remember that? Like book example, when somebody on the table stood up, walked somewhere, and she told, "This is ruined the atmosphere." Another example she gave is the cinema, where when you scroll on your phone or you try to text or talk, the cinema police coming and then bring you out. This is strict rules. People write angry comments, but this is like strictly sticking to event purpose. We're watching the film, no conversations. We're following the rules. And I'm like, this is cool, but I cannot imagine myself being a dinner host, and I'm actually bringing the person out of the table saying, listen, you're breaking the rules of my event. If the person is drunk, and this is obvious decision, everybody wants this person who is misbehaving to leave the room. But if they just moving from the table to table or sitting in the corner, not talking to anybody, I don't know. Like, what's your thoughts about it? Because I felt either I am not good at organizing, or I just don't know how to deal with this kind of situations.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, and I guess it depends on what the rules are that you set, depending on what the purpose is. I think there's something quite, magical and unique today about actually being committed to a purpose. I do think that, like, so much of our life, and this is getting a bit philosophical, but so much of our life is all these things intertwined at once, like being at the cinema while you're on your phone and also messaging someone else and also stepping out to go to the bathroom. Well, this moment of presence doesn't exist that much for
Mhm.
us anymore, and it is sacred. Um, the value that's brought, I think, in sticking to a purpose is that you create something that people remember. And I mean, I don't know about you, but when you, for example, go on a similar holiday several times and you look back a decade ago, you don't really remember the experience that you had. It's all sort of blurred. The thing that you remember is the moment that really had a purpose. And um, as you say, I think it's just on touching on what is the rule that you're going to set that you are going to be happy to pull someone up on, because
Mhm.
it does take. I think she gives an example as well at a when she was bringing together her family, and the rule was to give a toast.
Mhm.
Um, and when you opened with the toast, you had to tell a story that no one from the family had heard before. And the first person who gave the toast started telling this story about having 3 children. And everyone in the group actually started saying, we all know that. That's not following the rules. They sort of self-governed the
Hmm.
rules. And I think that that's the sign actually of a good rule and sticking to the purpose is something that everyone rallies behind rather than something that feels like it's taking the joy and fun out of it.
Hmm. While listening to you, I was thinking this is the rule people want to follow, and then it's kind of easy to follow it, easy to make it to follow. And if you are making the purposeful events, there are a bunch of in real life events where people go to the library or to the park during the summer, and they lock their phones in the special shelves and take it back 1 hour after. So they commit to the not being in digital world, and then they build a kind of infrastructure around it. And I'm thinking if you're creating this rule of being 100% present, 0% digital, you also as an organizer provide this kind of infrastructure and infrastructure is good. Infrastructure around this rule, so people kind of get rid of the devices, etc. And if you can't, if you make yourself another like level of difficultness, everybody should stick to their chairs, otherwise event is ruined. Maybe this is that event purpose, right? Maybe this is I would revise if I understand that I cannot make people follow this rule, then maybe the value behind it, or the values behind it, somehow
Yeah,
overthought, or maybe you know what I mean?
completely. I This is where this sort of merging of purpose and rules, I guess rules are the more practical way that we bring this purpose to life. In my company, the whole idea of the gatherings is to meet friends of friends. So the rule, the one most basic rule you must do is that you must bring someone who doesn't know the person who invited you.
Hmm.
That's the one rule. And similar to the example of the offline club, one rule is lock your phone away. So I think the rule needs to be easy to follow and needs to be very clearly linked to what the purpose of the event is. And then I think it can actually be really impactful.
Yeah, yeah. We come back to the strict rules. I have
Mm.
one more brainstorming idea, but before we jump into brainstorming part, I wanna bring another controversial topic to the table. There was about uh, bring people to deeper topics, and they open up better. It brings them closer, and this was at first the obvious rule for me because I participated in so many events where the host was like, "Don't introduce yourself with a title. Introduce yourself with anything but job." And then you start to remember that you're father, brother, I don't know, poet, cyclist, I don't know. So people started being creative, and it brings another level of conversation. Then some events they bring you the cards saying what was the most deep thought you heard in the last year. And that's cool. That also make you think not job titles, but deeper topics. And at first it was like, yeah, that's the correct observation. And then I start to feel, I don't know, like the inflation of the deep conversations fr- written on the beautiful cards. It happens like the inflation happens that when I come to 10th event or 50th event where I see the cards on the table, it's not that inspiring anymore. It doesn't bring the magic anymore. And I also I don't know. There was an event recently where that was prepared very well, and I felt I leave this event kind of empty inside anyway. So this kind of didn't work. Do you have this feeling that hey, it worked before, but nowadays we kind of, I don't know, we have this inflation and we need to reinvent it? Do you have this observation?
Yes, completely. I actually haven't seen these conversation cards work well ever, to be honest. That's a strong statement, but they became quite popular, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, and they were a great gift. I think I've been gifted 5 sets of conversation cards, and I enjoy looking through them. I enjoy using them personally when I'm journaling, but and I've tried them with my family as well, but I don't think that they actually now create authenticity. And that's something that's touched on in the book as well, is this goal to create authenticity in people.
Mhm.
And I don't know, for whatever reason, whether it's, how the impact of social media has had on us and our authenticity or our understanding of who we are and our ability to be vulnerable. But for whatever reason, I don't think having a card asking a deep question leads to a deep conversation. And I've tried this in a lot of my events, having conversation cards there. It's also the first thing a lot of people suggest to me. Oh, you should have conversation cards. Oh, you could do merch with conversation cards. And it seems like a great idea, but never have people discussed the
The topic.
question, the topic. Um, and never has it been the thing that's led to a meaningful conversation. I think the thing that I've learned is that getting people to play or be creative, that is a much more powerful tool in getting authenticity out of people. Getting people to do something that makes them feel a bit silly at first or childish or takes them back to a memory. That's when then someone will organically say, oh, this just reminds me of, my childhood when my dad used to do this. And that starts a real conversation. And
Mhm.
it's definitely not as nice and well intentioned as those meaningful questions and thoughtful questions are.
Mhm.
I don't think they're that effective. I agree with you.
Mhm. I should say a couple of thoughts in defense of this. I had a couple of very meaningful conversations with a group of my close friends. At some point, we opened the pack of cards, and then I realized that I never asked my very close friend about his brothers and sisters, about his family, and then he told, yeah, sure, here is the fantastic story. I don't know, there was no good reason just to tell it. Also, I'm now working as a sound engineer, and before I was the ecologist at the oil station. You just met me later when I became a sound engineer. But by the way, and you're like, what? This is so that was super cool. That was super cool. So I think some some context definitely definitely influences, but less and less I remember that on the meetups with these cards, I had the same inspirational feeling. Yeah. Do you have maybe your controversial observation from the book? Like, this is written super easy and well, but in my practice, this is not that easy.
um, the the one that actually stuck with me quite a bit was the ushering people in and the
Uh,
welcome.
yeah, can you refresh it for me? What was it
Yes,
about?
it was about how you welcome someone to the
Mhm.
event and making sure that knowing that everyone comes from different, places in the day.
Right.
There may be maybe they've just come off a bad work call, maybe they've just been talking to a friend about something exciting. They're all entering this space
Okay. Yeah.
feeling very, like, uh, potentially coming in with a million different emotions and feelings.
Sure.
And one of the pieces of advice is about having some sort of tunnel into this event, an entrance of sorts that takes them from their ordinary life and puts them in what this experience is
Hmm.
going to be.
Yeah.
I think it's really powerful, and Priya speaks about some great examples, like at Sleep No More, which is the sort of interactive theatre in New York, where they have, a very clear entrance and ushering process to warm people up for what the experience is.
Right.
And she references more simplistic ways like lighting candles or having someone standing at the door of your event welcoming people in.
Hmm.
I think I think that can be really effective and a great thing to do, and I do believe that having a host play that role,
Hmm.
great. But I think the reality, and maybe this is just where my business just isn't actually structured as much for that. The
Hmm.
reality of trying to build a company that has large scale and large application across a lot of places in the world is that having that role and that person in every place and having that unique experience is challenging.
Hmm.
That made me think a lot about what's the simplest way that you can make someone experience that transition or feel like they're in this new place without it needing to necessarily be a person or go to large lengths to do it.
Hmm.
Mm, especially when events might be happening, in my case with Ad One, there could be several dinners across a city one night, all with a different experience, all with, you can't
Yeah.
have people necessarily doing the same thing. But what's something that feels unexpected and easy that you can give people to have that little switch? That was my
Hmm.
one of my sort of brainstorms that came off the back of this.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. I think I also recall that was part in the book that which you make it look easy, but then when you think about it, you're like, no, well, this is not. I agree. Yeah, let's switch to brainstorming mode. Then I just pick up where you what you brought to the table. I was reading this book when I was organizing my New Year's dinner for a group of friends in my place, and at this point, there was a Huffington Post example where the founder CEO of Huffington Post personally met everyone in front of the door and kind of highlighting this is not a business conference. This is you are my guest. This is very nice, also not super scalable, but at the same time, I am here at my place, and then I am the host for 10 people. You know how the me and Amelia both living in Amsterdam, where the um, house numbers are sometimes confusing, and there was I don't know, maybe a month ago when a friend of mine told, I am going to be soon at your place with the hot pizza. And then I dropped him a Google link. And then he was calling me saying, I have cannot figure out like where to go. I look from the window, see him on the other side of the street, angry, hungry, and coming late with the cold pizza. So you can imagine that was like super frustrating. Learning from this experience and want to be like Huffington Post example, not like the cold pizza example. What I did is just to took pictures of the street during the daylight with drawing the arrow saying, listen, here you turn left and here is my door and here is my doorbell. And doorbell is easy to find, but then the level of precision and the level of detailization when you go step by step, and then I guess it makes you feel more familiar when you're on the street where you've never been before. You can have been there because you had the picture on your phone, and that makes you already feel more cared and welcome. And yeah, of course, what I made is I stopped to cook all the dishes and came to the door when somebody's coming. That was also I think picked up from the book. But this is very personal. I think if the if if an event has a host, which is most of the cases, then I think this is like the level of involvement of this person being close to the entrance door to meet the person, not on the far corner on the table where a person should figure out how to go. Maybe in your case, this is again like the pictures of the this is the entrance of the restaurant. Here's where you put your jacket. Here's the corner where so maybe this familiarity helps. Yeah, but human connection is the best, of course. I thinking of the host. And one more thing, uh, pretty cool example of expensive hotels. When
Mm.
you are on the busy street with a million of problems, you step in, and another example from the book, there is a bunch of flowers, not the artificial ones, like the real ones. So huge, and you don't see it in the in your busy life. You see it in the rich life, and then you change your mood immediately, and then you go to the reception, and then you're in a different world. That's super cool. I think the cheaper option for this is candles.
Mm.
Uh, Not that expensive as flowers. And then again, entering the building and then seeing the candles, like kind of make you more in a warm and maybe mysterious a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually, on that note, the Rosewood Hotel has opened recently in Amsterdam. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but the Rosewood is a very luxury hotel chain, and they don't have a reception. They have they have people. As you say, human connection is the best thing. There's not one place you go and line up. You walk into this beautiful living room feeling, and someone greets you and checks you in, on a couch or in a much more relaxed way as if you're entering someone's home. So,
Mhm.
yeah, there are nice things you can take from the personal experience of greeting someone at your door and try to bring it into these events for sure.
Yeah. I think that we discussed like simple things like be closer to the door, not at the end of the restaurant. Be like nice and helpful and ask like how did you arrive there? Was it stressful journey or not? Like start with something. This is this doesn't cost like bunch of flowers. This can be taught, and if the add one or any other relationship tech service has the person involved, then this is still a big process to learn it from this book, from this video we're recording now from somewhere else, and then make the process to teach people to be nice and to know these small things. Yeah, and then it works better than it works now, definitely.
Mm.
What makes me think is like when you invite the person, when you make them feel warm, this is this is one challenge. I like that you bring it. What if you don't invite the person? I am a people pleaser. I have huge trouble saying sorry you're not invited. Kids were playing PlayStation at my home. That was a huge challenge to say to them, hey, listen, this is time to stop. This is my apartment, my PlayStation. This is me. This is typical me. I'm working on that. But when in the book there was an example saying there was a trip, summer trip, the same group of people going there all the same time, and then one person got a new girlfriend, want to bring a new girlfriend, and the right decision by the book is that no, it's gonna ruin the vibe of the group, which is true. I had exactly similar story in my life. The vibe was completely different. Yeah. So I agree with the take, but the challenge is, and I want to brainstorm around it. When you exclude somebody, when you say you're not invited to the dinner, or you should, I don't know, you should work around it. What are your maybe thoughts on how to make it look nice and still be a good host.
Yes.
Yeah, any thoughts?
I'm a people pleaser too. I can relate to your feelings of discomfort around exclusion, and it's been such an interesting topic for me with Ad One because Ad One is inherently an invite only place because you have to be invited by someone who's going. There
Mhm,
is now a community that's big enough that they get pre-invited, they can branch it out, but I've really had this challenge in founding this company that to make something really unique and different to what's out there, which is a million ways to meet strangers, I have to exclude people and I have to make sure that the people attending events are always have a link of connection.
mhm,
So despite having thousands of people on a wait list that I'd love to say, "Here's an event, come." The power is in the exclusion of saying, "This is a table of 5 people who are friends of friends." And the way that I have felt comfortable about doing that is making sure that this is not a birthday party. This is not it's not something that is just a random night that we're all getting together for dinner. The
mhm,
purpose and intention of this is to get a group of people together who wouldn't usually have dinner together. And it's not just all your best friends, it's intentionally people who have loose ties. This idea of loose ties, which is like, it's not your best friend's friend, it's your best friend's uncle's friend or your best friend's cousin's friend. And it's the
mhm,
type of people that you meet at a wedding is who I want to bring together. So that layer means that even though I have people saying, I'd love to, why haven't you invited me to an event yet? I really want to come to an event or I need to come to an event. The curation and thought behind it, it's not that I'm excluding people. It's that these should feel like special occasions and they should feel like one-offs, and you should feel like, wow, this is a moment that will probably never happen again with this dynamic of these people meeting for the first time. And with that, um, I think everyone understands and respects
mhm.
the invite only sort of premise.
Yeah, I like this like kind of chain of thought that we discussed already. The relaxed organizer of the event, which is bad for the event, the strict organizer, and then we're adding another chain of thought is explaining here's how the magic works, here is the how the gathering is happening, and then when your line in the wait list will come, I guarantee you there are not going to be 500 people. That's going to be very authentic, very close event. And to if you want to get this experience, then yeah, I have to stick to the rules, and that's kind of 100% clear.
Mm.
That I think that makes the good story. That I don't know. That explains a lot. Yeah. Um, um, Another level of controversy: the being adaptive on the on the rules, on the concept, on the today is 5 people, but sometimes might it be 6 or not? I was like reading the book and thinking, yeah, if somebody's texting during the cinema, bring this person out. Rules are rules. Cool. And then I remember this story. We were me and my wife were on the vacation trip. The plan was just to grab some snack, have a quick lunch, and then move forward. That was like the concept of the event. I didn't think this way, but looking backwards, that was the idea. We came into the restaurant which was super full. There was one free table. We ordered, uh, I don't know, soup or something, and then the waiter told, "Excuse me, we have like a very high demand tonight. We ask you to order a main dish," or he named some minimum amount of money, And I was internally, I don't know, unhappy about it because my concept was this, and then you do that. And my wife, who has some more life wisdom, I guess, than I am, she just told, "Yeah, sure." Then we ordered this and that and that. And then when the waiter left, she told, "Then we changed the concept. It's not the quick lunch anymore. It's a romantic me and you time with the nice food because the restaurant is seems to be nice, and then we're together." And then I'm like, "Yeah, then I like it." So the she was flexible. She didn't stick. I was trying to stick to the rules and make the evening terrible. Walking out of the restaurant hungry, angry, and yeah, basically ruining the day. And she was like flexible and making the rules adapted, and then that was a very nice evening. So that led me to the idea of being sometimes adaptable, and then, as I mentioned, like more, maybe this is connected to just more life experience, um, and that led me to to the idea: can immature person be the event host when they just don't know how to deal with people and situations? Uh, So yeah, my brainstorming is over here. I was thinking that maybe like as a new part of ideas on top of the book, that being adaptive is like the superpower that can make event actually better. And then second idea is about the level of maturity, that people with a rich life experience are best hosts for any event.
Yeah,
Yep, on it.
I love the idea of being adaptive. I link it to this thing called surprise and delight. And when I used to work in advertising, I had a client that was a bank in Australia. And it was one of their main values was we wish to surprise and delight our customers. And they did it in ways like when it was raining, they'd have umbrellas in the branches that they'd hand
Hmm.
out when people were leaving. Things that really are memorable and stick with you. And that usually surprise and delight requires being adaptive because you need to be able to pivot like your wife and you did at that dinner, um, to then make something refreshing that you didn't expect. So I do think that's a great concept. And I also see it in my events that if people come with the right mindset, like your wife had, you don't know where the night might end up. Sometimes nights end up in galleries that people, happen to get on this conversation and then, oh, let's go here. This is still open. Or at people's houses or whatever, there's always some sort of surprising spin like, oh, all of a sudden we're all at karaoke. And that, um, entering into, I think we have the ability of entering into this moment of open-mindedness when you're meeting new people, when something's a bit unexpected. If you prime people for that, which is also referenced in the book quite a lot, this how do you prime people, how do you prepare them for what to expect, then it gives a much better chance for the night to take off and go in a different direction. So definitely agree with um, being adaptive. Your question about is an amateur host or can an amateur host with no experience actually surprise everyone and be the best?
Uh, I'm being, I'm afraid to being like ageist here, saying like only people with many years of experience in life can do the good events, which is from the practical observation is not true, of course, but it sticks to my mind that like this adaptability really, I'm trying to question myself how I can gain this skills. I'm like, yeah, just face more life situations, learn from that, and come more prepared next time. I don't have any other recipe.
Yeah, I think you're I think you're right, and I think that there's a bit of natural selection that goes on in organizing events and hosting events. That's what I've found, at least, that um, people who don't love doing it just don't push themselves to do it, and especially once you've sort of yeah, gotten to a point where maybe you're in your 30s and you've never liked doing it and you're not changing it now. I do I do think that with the right, I don't know, where human beings are made for connection and made to bring people together and made to socialize and be in group situations. So I do I do think it's innate to us and it's actually primal. Like it's for survival is why we had to connect and make connections. So I like to believe that anyone can do it. And when you take away the things that might seem the most difficult, a lot of people I speak to say, I never know the right restaurant to book that feels, not too loud and not too quiet and not too
Mhm.
expensive and not too cheap and good lighting and the right type of music. And then it just gets too hard and I don't do it. So I do believe if you give people a handful of the steps first and almost an excuse to step out of their comfort zone and do it, then they'll do it.
Yeah, that's true. I I want to make it like more wrapping up, uh, moving more to close this warm gathering. Thank you. Just a few quick announcements for those who will watch this video and having no idea what's the concept behind this. I just want to quickly mention that this is relationship tech community where we discover the ways how to connect people easier than it's happening today and make these connections stronger, which is also not super easy today. And we're looking at the technologies which can leverage this experience and help to make it easier. We discussed this in this format for the first time. I like it. I can tell it right now that the reading this book was good and sharing the ideas, the ping ponging a little bit. So if you want to discuss another book, somebody who is watching this video, you want to discuss this book, ping me, and then we can pick some relevant book and then discuss it. Um, Looking back at the book was great. I think this is very highly recommended book for a reason. uh, a lot of real life stories from the experience of the Priya, and yeah, I can imagine how people reading this book making their products, relationship tech products better, their events better, and in the end help people connect more easily. So thanks a lot for the experience, and see you next time.
Thank you.